see first?
How about that Eternal Code?
Eternal Code.
It's directed by Harley Wallen, written by Harley Wallen, stars Richard Tyson, Scout Taylor-Compton, and Billy Wirth. And Harley Wallen's in it too.
Haven't seen Billy Wirth in quite a while.
I don't know that I've seen him. I didn't recognize him. He's somebody?
Yeah, he's done lots of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe he was in The Lost Boys.
Oh.
He was one of the Lost Boy minions. Pretty sure he was.
Okay.
Yeah. And other stuff. Yeah.
Hour and 45 minutes. Link in the show notes.
Did you like it?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like you said, it's not strictly super horror, but yeah, it was good.
More science fiction-y.
It starts out...
Actually, more of an action science
If you watch
fiction.
the first 5 minutes, you're going to hate it. The first 5 minutes I thought was kind of bad.
I thought it took a while to warm up and get going, to get some momentum going and get us interested in these characters more.
Once it got to about the halfway point, I'm like, hey, this is pretty good.
I can't stop watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it time, though. It takes a few
little
minutes.
bit. Yeah. Indie film, but
Yeah.
a good effort. And suddenly Shane Hagedorn. I was looking at IMDb and I hadn't noticed he was in it. And
He knows him.
sort of. Shane would probably say, hey, he looks familiar when he saw me. We knew each other in passing because he was doing the theater program. I don't think he ever did community theater, but I did a lot of community theater, and he saw my stuff and I saw his stuff, and there were a couple times of, hey, how you doing in passing.
But he doesn't have a weekly YouTube channel.
But he's done a lot of indie movies.
Okay.
Well, he's got a lot more movies than I do. A lot more IMDb credits.
You got
than
one
I do.
IMDb
I have
credit.
one IMDb credit.
Your mission for the week is to look it up and comment on his IMDb credit.
Yeah.
Well, this movie starts out with a guy sitting in the corner with a gun getting ready to shoot himself. He spots a guy getting ready to beat up a girl and goes to her defense, leaving his suicide note forgotten in the corner. There's a boardroom argument about weapons control. One guy says if this had been developed a few years ago, that it could have saved his wife. The woman in charge, Bridget Pellegrini, wants to shut the program down as it's just too dangerous. Mm-hmm. If you make a weapon, soon enough the enemy will have that weapon too. Or some kind of logic like that.
Everybody's going to want it, yeah.
You ever make a weapon at that logic? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, then Corey, the depressed and homeless guy, is sitting on a park bench, and Stephanie, the girl he rescued earlier, sits down and gives him a coffee. Coffee.
And then they're friends.
They are. Meanwhile, back at the bioengineering company, the main guy, Oliver, wants to arrange an accident for Bridget. We shift to seeing her in the kitchen talking to her husband, Mark, when their daughter comes in.
Oliver is not a nice guy.
No. The daughter looks like she's wearing a wedding dress to school. There's classical music playing. Not to mention they have what looks like a bottle of Grey Poupon on the countertop. You know these are classy people.
It did look like a wedding dress. That's what the first thought was. Is she in a wedding party? And no, she's just going to school.
The husband looked like he just got off the construction line, though. I mean,
he was more blue collar.
He was very blue collary, but
Yeah.
I don't think he was supposed to be. I think he was supposed to be a rich snob like all the others. He didn't really fit that.
He's more down to earth.
All right.
Yeah.
He's the real guy.
Yeah. But they had money. Yeah, they were trying to
Grey Poupon,
trying to convey that they were well-to-do. Yeah.
Well, we see Stephanie having a conversation with other hookers, and they all use words bigger than I've ever heard a hooker use. You ever hear a hooker use words like that?
Well, I haven't. In real life, I haven't heard a lot of hookers talk actually. So
yeah, you'd say that, wouldn't you?
Maybe they talk like that when they're alone and nobody's around.
Well, David, a friend of the family, comes to see Bridget, warning her that she's in danger. She refuses to listen to his warnings. David then goes to Mark and explains it all. And like I said, Mark is a little more down to earth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bridget's daughter has been giving money to Corey because he's sad and homeless looking, and he uses the money to buy lunch for all the other poor people, which demonstrates to the audience that he's not an addict.
And he's a genuinely good guy.
Oliver tells the scientists to push forward on this project, and they can end mortality. They talk about growing new bodies for people in the future, but right now they're transplanting dying brains into dead bodies.
Or more of a mind transplant. But
I wasn't quite clear if they actually transplanted the brain or just some sort of mind switching.
It didn't
never
seem
really
to
see
be.
it.
They didn't. I'm not sure they were actually open to the skulls.
I don't think they did.
Yeah.
It would make a lot more sense. Okay, don't
yeah.
overthink it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Men in masks come in and capture Bridget and Mark, while Miranda, the daughter, runs back to Corey and cries for help. Corey and Stephanie talk to Miranda, and she explains everything about the company. It is a brain transplanting project.
Mm-hmm.
Well, David confronts Oliver about what he's done. Without Bridget, the vote for the merger is expected to go through. There's a very strange scene where Corey goes to the office to get money for wounded warriors, but gets thrown out instead. He goes in asking for Bridget, knowing full well that Bridget's been kidnapped. What did he hope to gain by that meeting?
Inside information.
He got thrown out.
Well, didn't get much.
Okay. Maybe not the best plan.
But it was a try.
I'm not quite clear why he went there in the first place, but the bad guys spend about an hour looking for Miranda, while Oliver and a gunman are going around town forcing the vote to go through. Things are really starting to look bleak until Oliver decides he wants to transfer his brain into a new, younger body. And you're going to have to tune in on Amazon Prime to see how that works out.
See how things work out.
We saw it on Prime. It's probably available other places. But yeah, the first few minutes, it feels like a soap opera. It's kind of hokey, but it picks up. It really does.
Yeah, yeah.
The further you go into it, the better it gets. Maybe you get invested in the characters, but I think it's more that once the action picks up, the heavy drama subsides a bit. It is a little soap opera-like, over-dramatic in the beginning, but then it gets more action-oriented, it gets better.
Yeah.
The sci-fi aspect of the story is pretty much non-existent, except in exposition and the background story.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen a little more sci-fi-ish.
Like I said, we didn't know if it was a brain transplant or a mind transfer. They never really show us. We never see any brain transplant or mind transfer or whatever the big idea is. And at one point, Oliver changes actors, and there's a few scenes with him in the hospital, but it's never quite clear exactly what's going on. It's basically a lone gunman saves the day kind of story with a business takeover side plot. It's a pretty good crime drama, but it's billed as a sci-fi action film, and it's really just not that much sci-fi. It's got some good action, though.
Cool poster, too.
Yeah, definitely.
And one thing I noted, too, is good soundtrack, good music, good use of sound and music. And, yeah, I was impressed by that. And, yeah, all in all, I give it a thumbs up for
good cinematography, well made,
yeah.
professionally done. It's not like a lot of the indie films that we look at. It's really good that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's not horror, but if it sounds interesting to you, check it out. It's worth a watch.
Yeah, it got me hooked, and, yeah, I give it a thumbs up.
All right.
Yeah. And that's our show. Stop in during the week to the website, horrorguys.com. Check us out on social media, or tune into the full-length audio podcast.
Just everything here, our weekly show is done as a full-length, around an hour audio podcast each week,
where we talk about all the movies. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That helps us out. Give some likes and subscribes.
Yep. And horrorguys.com has, of course, all our reviews in writing. If you want to read more, sometimes we'll forget the line here or there. So if you want to read them, check out horrorguys.com.
Yeah.
And I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you at the next movie.
See ya.